The views and opinions expressed on the following program may not necessarily reflect the views of the staff, management, or board of Hope Media Group and KSBJ. It's what's happening around us, in our town, suburb, city, in our community. It's Community Beat with Kim Kasi McKee on 89.3 KSBJ.
Well, hello and welcome to Community Beat, where we're keeping you tuned in to the topics that are impacting our local communities and helping them thrive. I'm your host, Kim Kasi McKee, and today we'll be talking about an organization that has been a powerful instrument in God's hands to help transform many lives of men in transition through their holistic rehabilitative programs. That organization that I've come to know and love through the years is Open Door Mission. Joining us today are some guests who will share firsthand about this great organization. I have Phil Vaughn, who's the COO, and Stan Washington, who's the Business Development Manager. Hello and welcome, Phil and Stan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank both of you for joining us. So, Phil, let's begin with you by letting us know what is Open Door Mission for those who may not know, and how did it all get started?
Oh my goodness. Open Door Mission is a substance abuse treatment facility for homeless men that are suffering from addiction. Open Door has been around since 1954. It was downtown as a homeless shelter. We've been at our current location, which is the old Fullerton Elementary School on the east side, and we've been there since 1966. Thank you to the Sterling Turner Foundation, who donated that land for us. But we're very dedicated to helping men in our community, and not just by providing them a place to be or providing them shelter, but actually transforming lives. That's what we're all about.
And I can say I have certainly seen firsthand the power of that transformation. I've seen various men throughout my service in the nonprofit arena, which spans over 25 years, from the time I began working for Star of Hope Mission to working at the Work Faith Connection and just everything in between. Many organizations I have often heard Open Door Mission, because you guys do a wonderful job of even partnering with other organizations just to make sure that the men in your program have everything they need. I can remember going to a conference for rescue missions, and I heard this reference to 3 hots and a cot, where that's, of course, the most basic level of helping a person who's homeless. But Open Door Mission goes so much deeper than that, so much deeper than providing a meal and a place to lay their heads. And I'd love for you to just paint a picture of the width and breadth of the programs that you offer to these men that really helps them that really are sustainable for them and have lasting effects as they go through your program. So,
Well, I'll take that. I can say this. Right now, we have a city, I guess you can just say the Houston area to start with. We have an addiction problem. And, when Phil spoke about us receiving men in our program, and as well as you said, the 3 hots and a cot, it's much more to it than that. We really want to help men change their lives. And our program is a faith and evidence-based program, so we really take the faith part very seriously. We know that the transformation comes through Jesus Christ. And addiction right now, with the crisis that so many of us know about, the opioid crisis, fentanyl, and the deaths and stuff that goes with that. Even in our city, even in our neighborhood where Open Door Mission is on the East End, we definitely willing to accept those men who make up their mind that they want change into our doors. And once they come to our program, it's very extensive. When a man comes through our front gate, and by the time that he finishes our program, he has a transformation that is unlike any transformation of a man that has an addiction problem in our. And what I mean by that is we want that man to be self-sufficient when he is done with our program. So we really want him to have a life that's changed, that's very noticeable, not just to himself, but his family, his children, his community, because especially a man can affect so many things and so many people in so many ways. A sober man, I say. But if a man is not sober, Kim, that
Absolutely.
that's something that affects not just his household, but our community in negative ways.
Absolutely. For those who are just tuning in, we are speaking with representatives from Open Door Mission. We're talking with Phil Vaughn, who serves as COO, Chief Operating Officer, and also Stan Washington, who's the Business Development Manager. Phil, tell us, what is the mission of Open Door?
Oh, my goodness. The mission is transformation. The first thing that we do when we have a client that comes to our gates is that we give them access to Harris Health Clinic, who is a collaborative partner right on site. So they're issued a homeless letter and automatically given a gold card for health care. Because in addiction, you're not going to the doctor on a regular basis. So we start taking care of medical needs and dental needs right off the bat and get these guys healthy.
That's
because
great.
As Stan said, this is an intensive program. You're here for 6 months. And after you graduate, we give you the opportunity to stay with us for another 6 months in transitional living, because you're going to be working and you're going to be saving some money so that you can get back out there where the rubber hits the road, as we like to say. But we want to give them the tools to make that happen. Education is a huge problem with a lot of our guys. And one of the things that we do is we test them in as soon as they come in through the TABE state testing to see what grade point level they're at.
Okay.
And then we develop a personalized learning program for each man throughout the time that they're there. Personally, we've determined that the average is about a 6th grade level.
Okay.
So we have been able to personalize programs for each man to meet them where they're at, to gauge progress in many different areas. So we also offer GED testing. We're a Proctor site. We do the testing right on site as well for men to get their GED. But that's just part of the education that is so lacking in our communities right now, and we're helping these guys to get there. So then they're in a 6-month program of evidence-based and faith-based learning. They go to devotion every morning. We have 25 and a half hours of spiritual curriculum, as well as cognitive behavioral therapy, smart recovery, AA, celebrate recovery. We offer them so many things. We kind of like to call it a gumbo, Kim.
Okay.
Because everybody makes their gumbo a little bit different.
That's right.
And personal recovery and your relationship with God is a little bit different
That's
for
right.
everybody. So we like to be able to say, here's all the ingredients. Pick the things that resonate with you,
Okay,
gentlemen.
they get to kind of customize it.
Right. And pick the things that resonate with you and make that work for you. And know that you've got the greatest corner man in the world, that Jesus Christ, on your side, helping you make this happen.
Oh, that's awesome. So Stan mentioned about the faith component. How important is that, and what is your relationship with local churches? Because I would imagine that would be a big part of that.
Yeah, faith is definitely the most important thing that we do, is introduce people to Jesus, because we know that change comes through relationship with God. And so we do have relationships with churches in the Houston area. So on Sunday, our guys are required to go to an off-campus church service after they have been in our program, after they get past our phase 1. So if they've been in our program roughly about 6 weeks, they get that opportunity to go to churches off campus, because that starts to give them a little development in what needs to happen after they finish the program. They need to stay connected with God if God's going to be the change agent, the one that's going to truly turn their lives right side up. So, yeah, we do offer churches in the Houston area, but that group that's in phase 1, that's only been there for, up to 6 weeks, they have church services on our campus.
Okay, that was my next question. Do churches actually come inside to help facilitate services?
Absolutely. We have so many collaborations with churches that we're so blessed that we have several churches that come in that actually help teach part of our curriculum, as well as provide really great functions for them as well. Grace Bible Church is sponsoring a huge crawfish boil this weekend on their campus, and they're sending one of the big charter buses over and picking up all of our guys and taking them for a family fun day. And, we have churches that come in and give messages. We have churches that are involved in retreats that our men take, that they get to participate in on weekends. We have authentic manhood. We've got fatherhood classes with a collaboration with the Pelchins. So collaborative partnerships are what it's all about for nonprofits. You know, from your time at nonprofits.
Absolutely.
You know, our coffers are not up,
That's right.
blowing up.
You can't afford to.
Our collaborations with Harris Health, with the Houston Food Bank, with UT Health providing mental health care. We couldn't do any of this without the collaborations that we have. And our church base is just a huge part of that.
That is awesome.
Amen.
Well, another aspect I'd love to touch on are your singers, your choir. When I went to the Great Houston Prayer Breakfast, I said, I think I hear music in the air. And I got to that floor and heard the men singing, and it just set the tone for what we were about to experience at the prayer breakfast. So talk about that aspect. Who gets to be a part of that, and how are they utilized throughout the community?
Well, that group we call them the Ensemble.
All right.
Open Door Mission Ensemble. So that group really began with one of our staff members.
Okay.
So his name's Fred Smith. He definitely doesn't like it when I put his name out there. But I tell you what, he has done and is still doing a tremendous job with the men, because all of the men that's a part of the ensemble are in our program, either in our program or have graduated. And that just lets you know that, the graduates, I think maybe make up right now as it stands about half of the ensemble. That's their way of giving back. But yeah, these guys, they go out and Mr. Smith gets them all together. He's the maestro. Mm-hmm. And so he gets them on the same page, and they sound good. Kim, they really sound good.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've heard them.
I'm a witness to that.
But they represent Open Door Mission, outside of our walls. As you mentioned, they sang in the front of hundreds, if not thousands, at the recent Houston Prayer Breakfast. But they do that in other settings, with the county, Precinct 2. They love us with, their annual Christmas seniors event that they have. But they also, they also just give us an opportunity to, I guess, showcase Open Door Mission.
Sure.
At events. We have organizations that love to call on them. We call on them ourselves at our monthly luncheon. And I guess we can talk about that a little bit, to where we do invite outsiders to come to Open Door Mission if you just want to know more, want to know more about even what we will say today. And you don't have to be a part of an organization or anything like that. If you want to know more because you have a loved one that may need this place, we do offer once a month, the second Thursday of every month, what we call Lunch with a Mission, for people to come out, and all we need to know is that you want to come, and we'll put you on our RSVP list. You will get a chance the first thing you'll get a chance to do is see the ensemble, because that group of singers, they will welcome you in the door, and they can make it a little personal for you. They don't mind calling you up there to have you join them. So yeah, we love the ensemble. They are, I guess, what makes Open Door Mission tick on the outside.
I love that you said the group is comprised of graduates. So these are people who have gone through your program and are obviously having some sustained success.
But I do want to mention that we do have men that's in the program.
Okay.
That's a part of that group. We've had men that sing with the ensemble that's been a part of the program for just a couple of months or so.
Okay.
They get that focused in the program, and, really, they are already starting to give back, even, by singing with our group.
That is excellent. If you're just tuning in, we are speaking with representatives from Open Door Mission, a mission of transformation for homeless men who are dealing with addiction, who come through the program and partake of all of the holistic rehabilitative services and come out on the other side of that, ready to be reunited with families, ready to be effective citizens throughout the community. And we just appreciate the work that Open Door Mission does. You mentioned earlier, Stan, about the Lunch with the Mission. I have experienced those on more than one occasion. I was pleasantly surprised at the meal that I was served. and then blown away to know who prepared that meal. So talk to us a little bit about who's behind those amazing meals that you all serve at the Lunch with the Mission.
Well, we do have a lead chef. And I do want to say this, though. Every meal that's cooked in our kitchen, we do have help from some of the men in our program. Mm-hmm. That's one of the on-campus jobs that some of the men get a chance to get into, serving in our kitchen. Mm-hmm. And some of them get a chance to even take that a step further because we do have programs to where they can get, I guess, whatever types of like licenses or whatever.
Culinary training?
Yeah, we did that as well. But our men are a big part of not just what goes on in the kitchen. And I'll focus on that in just a second, but you did kind of open up something I do want to mention before I forget. Uh-huh. Our men, once they are in our program for, I think it's 2, after the second phase, they get a chance to have on-campus jobs. Mm-hmm. And part of that reason is because when they go through our program, when they finish our program, we do have what we call sort of like job readiness to where we prepare the men, to work, to be employed. And so by them having on-campus jobs in the kitchen, helping our chef is one of them, and we have other areas, even in education department, it gives us an opportunity to kind of gauge their work ethics because some of the men, haven't had a job before, a real job.
Okay.
And they don't know, I guess they get the skills, from the on-campus jobs that we have to help them once they get out into the real world.
That's great. So describe who would be ideal candidates for your program. So people are listening at us talk about Open Door Mission. How young is too young? How old is too old? What might be some of that criteria for someone who may want to make a recommendation or who themselves may feel this is a program that they need?
Well, as we know, addiction doesn't discriminate.
That's right.
We've had, we do deal with adults, so you have to be at least 18. Mm-hmm. However, we just had a client graduate our program last month that is 80 years old.
Wow.
And he's now working with us.
That's awesome.
And one of the things that's so great about this program is that as men progress within the program, they're offered social services that we help them with legal issues. We help them with IDs, back taxes, all the things that you neglected in your addiction, as well as the medical and dental that we were talking about earlier. But then at the end of the phase of their time there, we have a career education department. We have collaborative partnerships, again, with a lot of second chance employers. Mm-hmm. The Marriott Marquis downtown is one of our big collaborative partners. And it's great because there's so many types of jobs there for our men. Most of our clients have had, as Stan was saying, not really great jobs. They've had what I call hard hat jobs. And we transform these guys to understand about benefits, 401k. These are things that we need you guys to have. So 98% of our graduates have a full-time job with benefits within 90 days of graduation.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then that's when we allow them to stay on campus in our transitional living, and we also have a sober house across the street that they can stay for another 6 months. So now you've taken a man who's walked through our doors in addiction, homeless, that now has an education, has been through all of the spiritual training and the cognitive behavioral therapy, the evidence-based therapy. They've got a job. They're reuniting with families. They're in a church, and they're saving some money so that they can go back there and live their transformed life.
Wow. That is full circle.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Just to add to that, something we hadn't brought up yet, Kim, we do this for the client at no cost.
Wow.
Zero
that's
cost.
Huge. That's huge.
And I think that's important for us to get
it
out there.
Sure
we
is.
talk about this program a lot in other venues, but sometimes forget that. Forget to tell the people that, they don't have to worry about, trying to finance what we do, because it's free for them. The best words are at no cost. We know that.
It's going to cost you.
Yeah. And
your
we
time
know,
and your effort to.
Yeah, we know that salvation is a gift from God, but it cost Jesus his life. But it's, grace. I guess you can say the men can come into our program grace free.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
At, no cost.
That is amazing. So the program is free for the clients who come through, but of course, someone has to fund it. So Phil, talk to us about that. How are you funded?
We are 100% donor funded. Churches,
Wow.
individuals, organizations, corporations, trusts. We have a development department that Stan is part of, making doorways out there to open to introduce them to who we are. We are 100% donor funded, no government funding, by choice, on purpose. That's why we have our faith-based curriculum.
Wow. That is amazing. So in addition to those who donate financially, do you have needs for volunteers? And if so, what are some of the things volunteers do for you?
Oh my goodness, it's so great because there are so many ways to serve, and we all know we need to serve. And we have volunteers that are amazing that come on our campus. Everything from people that come to our kitchen on a Saturday to help prepare a meal, to groups of kids from local faith-based high schools that come out and repaint and do beautification projects around
that's
our
awesome.
campus. But we're also looking for tutors in our education area. We look for mentors for our men. We have a mentor training program that guys can go through, that gentlemen can go through and come out and fellowship with our men and be a positive role model with them. We look for sponsors within our AA program the classes that we have there. There's so many ways to serve, and we know that that's what we were put here for, is to serve.
Amen. Well said. I want to go back to something you referred to earlier, Stan. You mentioned the opioid crisis. Talk to us a little bit about that and how Open Door has been a part of the solution with that.
Well, we just finished a symposium. Ironically, it was in Galveston County. And why Galveston County? Well, briefly, I want to say that Harris County, as far as just about anything in the medical field, anything in addiction recovery, sober living, we are rich here. We have the largest medical center on the planet still, and the resources here are off the charts. But what we noticed, Kim, is that once you leave Harris County in any direction, those resources fall off tremendously.
Okay.
And that, brings us to the opioid crisis. And so in Galveston County, we do collaborate with Hope Drug Court and so many other programs that do what we do. But since they lack resources down there, we are a 175-bed facility. And so the needs are, well, they don't have facilities like us down there that have the room that we have.
Okay.
And so that's how some of the collaborations get started, with surrounding counties. And so in the midst of this opioid crisis, especially fentanyl and the deaths that unfortunately have come with that, we've been receiving people from Galveston County. We've received more men in our program from Galveston County than any other surrounding county. And the collaboration has already started as a result of last month's symposium down there. And with that also, we feel responsible to teach what we know. We don't want to sit on the knowledge that we have here at Open Door Mission, because there's not many facilities in any of the surrounding counties that do the things that we do as far as residential recovery and everything that we've explained to you and what Phil said that happens to a man when he comes to our front gates, all the way to him getting employment, being self-sufficient. It's not just Galveston County, but the rest of the surrounding counties. Case in point, we have a meeting with a lot of the Fort Bend County officials on the same subject tomorrow. We don't want to sit on what God has gifted us with as a mission. We want to share it because, I often say this, and you've heard this before, that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, if you put that in the context of what's going on with this fentanyl crisis, we met with the leaders of addiction recovery in Galveston County, and I let them know that in this context of trying to save lives, if it takes a village to raise a child, then how much more should we get the leaders of recovery industry down there together and teach them some of the things that we know that works. And so we are all about solutions, and that's exactly what we need to stop people from dying from fentanyl.
Well, speaking of collaborations and partnerships, such as you're referencing now, you've got something coming up that we'd love to learn more about, the Party Sober Partnership. What's that all about?
Well, Party Sober Partnership started a couple of years ago or so, and it's a collaboration of organizations that do similar work to what we do. So it's in recovery. It's all about recovery.
Okay.
But, you kind of look around in Houston and Harris County, and we found out that there's no recovery events or sober fun type of events.
Okay.
And so when the holidays come, let's say just throwing one out there, the 4th of July, when that rolls around, people have fun, But most of the events you're going to have alcohol there. If it's an outdoors event, especially, you're going to have drugs and stuff like that. And so we want the people that seek out recovery, that wants to be sober, we want them to have events that they can go to and they can feel good about not having to deal with alcohol. It won't be in their presence.
That's great.
They won't have to worry about drugs or anything like that. And so we've taken this to another level. We want to do big events because there's a lot of people in the Houston area that we want to cater to. And just quickly, I'll just say we do anything from movies, movie night, movie matinees, to this event that's coming up. The event that we have coming up is called Recovery Out Loud. It's our first Sober Fest. And it's coming up next month, May 21st. We're trying to get the information out there because we want people to be able to come to this event, feel good about, knowing they can come somewhere that they can have fun. You can have real good old-fashioned fun.
Good, clean fun.
Without the drugs and alcohol.
All right. So the Recover Out Loud Soberfest 2023, Sunday, May 21st from 12 to 6 at White Oak Music Hall. And will the details of this be on your website as well?
As a matter of fact, the Party Sober Partnership website.
So there you can find out more at soberfesthtx.com. So that's soberfesthtx.com. And also to find out more about Open Door Mission as a whole, opendoorhouston.org. Is that correct?
That is correct. On that website, it'll obviously explain who we are, but it also will show you what the intake requirements are. And shortly we'll have an application on there too, so you can fill out the application and try to make everything digital and easier to flow.
Excellent. Would either of you have a success story to share about someone who's come through your program? And I'm sure you have many, many success stories, but anyone in particular that you may want to highlight?
Interesting you should say that. I know this gentleman who came through our program who was a lifelong agnostic, dealt with alcohol addiction chronically for about 15 years, was successful in business and lost businesses and everything because of his addiction. He came to the doors given the gift of desperation. It was probably the seventh or eighth rehab facility he'd been in.
Wow.
Went through the program, found Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Graduated the program, became employed, and now I'm the COO of Open Door Mission.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. So that's your story.
And that's how I'm giving back.
Oh, my goodness. That's an amazing story. I'm looking at a poster child here of the effectiveness of Open Door Mission in fulfilling their mission, which is complete transformation. So congratulations to you, Phil.
Thank you. I have a relationship with God that I never had. My life is I'm transformed. I'm a different human being, just like it says.
Wow. Well, you're the perfect spokesperson for the program. Someone you've experienced it firsthand.
And my mission now, just like everyone, just like we were talking about, is to give back and to serve. I get to serve the Open Door Mission, and I'm very blessed to be able to do that.
Awesome. Wow. Well, you've heard a lot this morning. We hope that you are thinking and praying about people who could benefit from such a powerful program, such as Open Door Mission. To find out more, to reconnect with them, whether it is as a client as a volunteer, as a donor, as a seeker, someone that just wants to learn more, maybe by coming to one of their second Thursday lunches with the mission, all you need to do is go to opendoorhouston.org. And also, is there a phone number that they could call, Stan?
Yes. I'm going to give that number that will get them an opportunity to come that second Thursday.
Okay.
That number is 281-687-1757. And so that's my office number, and I can make sure that they get an RSVP invitation if they want to come to Lunch with a Mission.
Excellent. All right. Well, we just want to say thank you to our guests who've joined us today and shared some wonderful information about Open Door Mission. Phil Vaughn, who's the COO, and Stan Washington, who is the Business Development Manager. Thank both of you for the wonderful work that you're doing in helping to rehabilitate men in our city. So God bless you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And as always, thank you, our wonderful audience, for joining us. And we hope you'll join us again to our next edition of Community Beat. Blessings on your day. I'm Kim Kasi McKee on 89.3 KSBJ.
Thanks for joining us for Community Beat with Kim Kasi McKee. Join us every Saturday morning at 5:30 on 89.3 KSBJ.